G'day and welcome everybody, Duckville bringing you some StarCraft 2 action from Heart of the Swarm. Of course, it is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg on Belshir Vestige. Starting at the top left-hand side, we have previously seen this player actually playing up against the Root Gaming captain and leader and all those cool things, Cats, but can he bring it out against another Zerg player today? It is SwagSurgeon. And down at the bottom right-hand side is his opponent, of course, a well-known figure in the esports scene, has been around for a very long time, representing the foreign scene, and now, of course, representing Team EG, it is Idra. And we'll see what these guys are going to get up to here today on this, well, a very interesting map, of course, this one. I've actually spoken to a few high-level Protoss players who have said they don't particularly like this map too much. I'm not really sure of exactly why, and I didn't really get too much elaboration on why, but I don't know, it seems like generally a decent all-around map. I know that there are some Terran players who like to favor this map just because of the very narrow pathways and things just through certain portions of the map. Of course, you know, these various bits just here, and of course the various entries into the natural and all these kinds of things, but I suppose it would beg a little bit more analysis than just a cursory look over, but we'll see how SwagSurgeon's going to go about this. Of course, you can go for various two-base kinds of play. As a Protoss, you can look towards, looking to take a third base. It is certainly possible. It's not as if the third is completely undefendable. You've got some destructible rocks that are just over here that do leave this as a much thinner sort of pathway to try and push through. So we'll see if SwagSurgeon is going to go up there and go for that kind of thing. Of course, it looks as if he is going to go for a Nexus first down here at the natural. Of course, a very simple wall to try and set up here as well. There's a couple of ways to do it. Of course, generally most players will look to just sort of set up, your forge and gate, and then like a pylon over here or something like that with a cannon just in the back, or just something along those lines. Very simple sort of drawing of what it can look like, but it looks like he is going to go down that particular path with the forge starting up just after the Nexus goes down. So Idra going to have a little bit of trouble getting up his own quick expansion here. Did go for a spawning pool just straight away so that he could get those lings out. We've got 4 lings just about to pop out that'll help out with getting rid of this pylon that's blocking the hatchery here. And yeah, we'll just sort of move through the early sort of stage of the game. We'll keep an eye on what's going on. But of course, I did want to thanks to everyone who tuned into the stream. I will be streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays on the Handsome Nerd stream. You can catch me there. It's twitch.tv/the it's just Handsome Nerd, I believe. We'll be doing like some Dota and some StarCraft 2 streaming, just that sort of stuff there, and it should be a whole lot of fun. Hopefully you can catch me all there. And of course, I am still streaming on my normal stream, which is twitch.tv/DuckvilleLol. Yeah, so we'll expect some interesting things to be coming up. Of course, on Friday, this Friday the 12th, I will be streaming a GM clan war from the C region. Hopefully some peeps can tune into that. Should be a whole lot of fun, but it looks like we'll get just a quick third base from Idra. Of course, he does have that spawning pool already done, and of course that means that he does have quite a lot of map control, so he will be able to push out. We did see him just running down the back to sort of catch if there's any proxy pylons or probes or anything like that out on the map, which could cause him some grief at the third base, but with that out of the way, he can certainly expand and get his economy into a really good shape, because that is something that we all know Idra is very well versed in doing, is getting a good economy going, getting a whole lot of drones up and running, and really putting himself in a really good spot for mid-game, which is where he really flourishes, and where in Heart of the Swarm, of course, the Zerg race actually does quite an excellent job, is really dominating that mid-game with the usage of Roach Hydra, of course, the Vipers, and from time to time you do see the Swarm hosts and these kinds of things, which can be quite powerful through that mid-game stage. So Idra now up to a total of 27 drones as of right now. His opponent up at a decent total himself, sitting at 33 probes right now. Taking gases number 3 and 4 is SwagSurgeon, also getting that Stargate there too. So he's going to open up with some Stargate play. Of course, a pretty common way to open up in Heart of the Swarm during the end of Wings of Liberty. Of course, the Stargate play wasn't the most popular play. Of course, we did get to see the old Soul Train with the Sentry Immortal all in, these kinds of things, which did mean that the Stargate wasn't around as much as it used to be. Of course, MC was one of the few people who really continued using Stargate openings in this particular matchup for the majority of Wings of Liberty. So, but these days, of course, you do see it as a very strong sort of opening play. The Void Ray does a great amount of damage against armored targets, which of course includes buildings. But it looks like SwagSurgeon is going to open up with some Phoenix, probably 4 to 5 before he actually moves out, unless he gets scouted, in which case a lot of players, if an Overlord pops through and the Phoenix opening is scouted, they'll just head straight out, try and find some of those Overlords that are around the map, going to try and block off some of the vision of the Zerg player. So he will also follow that up with a Robo Facility now that his economy is sitting in a pretty decent position, up at 44 probes here, and we'll see how he transitions from this point. So it does look like it is going to be that small cluster of Phoenix that's going to come out of SwagSurgeon. Idra trying to scout through, trying to find out where is all of this tech. I'm not able to find it just as of yet. He's going to scout out a couple of gates inside the main, but this of course is very standard sort of thing to see, going up to 4 gates and that kind of total there. Meanwhile, for Idra back at home, now up to 58 drones. He is now mining from 4 gases as well. We've got 2 down at the 3rd and 2 at the natural as well, but haven't actually taken the ones inside the main. But he will get the lair on the way, Zergling speed starting up, and of course a macro hatch being added on as well. So it looks as if he is going to go into what looks to be some Ling and possibly either Hydra or Roach play. The Phoenix do finally come about. 4 of them are out on the map in total. In fact, 5. The 5th one is now just flying down now as well. Picking up 1 Queen, taking her down, and it looks as if a 2nd Queen will also be taken out here by SwagSurgeon. So what this does, of course, it doesn't necessarily, you know, cause the death of a Zerg player, but what it does is really cut down on their production. Means that you can't inject as much as you would like to, and is he going to grab that 3rd? No, he's not. He's not going to pick up that extra Queen, so he will back off for the time being, and it looks as if SwagSurgeon just going to get ready and take a 3rd base very quickly here. So he is going to move into, you know, try and get his economy really well established here on 3 bases. Of course, as any Zerg player will know, a 3-base Protoss can be a bit of a scary thing to behold, especially if you are not getting any harassment done. Idra now moving up to this 3rd base. Going to see what damage you can get done. There are a couple of sentries here along with a Zealot as well, but it looks like, in fact, he is going to boost up that Ling count. We've got a whole bunch of Lings now streaming their way across the map, just floating across the sentries in a little bit of an awkward spot, trying to force field themselves out. Actually gets a donut around 2 of those sentries there. Very, that's actually pretty well done by SwagSurgeon. He's got like this power force of 3 sentries just stuck on each other, beaming away with their tickle beams on the Zerglings that were there. So Idra forced to back off for the time being. Did take out one of the sentries and forced, of course, a lot of those force fields to come out there too. But he's not, well, you know, he still needs to get across and perhaps get some harassment done. But of course, Idra being Idra, up to an excellent total of drones now, going up to 70, actually going to drop it down to 69 just for a moment here while we do get the Spire started. And of course, he is mining away quite efficiently at these 3 bases. So Idra looks like he is going to try and push in yet again. The Phoenix of SwagSurgeon taking out just a spare drone that was off to the side here. Idra now looking to take a 4th and maybe even a 5th base. We'll see if he does go for a 5th as well. Just knowing that his opponent is spending a lot on getting this 3rd base up and running. Of course, there is a lot of tech behind this now as well, with the Robo Bay coming up along with the extended thermal lance. So Idra going to try and push in. We do have some Hydras now making their way across the map. Photon Overcharge activated on the Nexus, going to poke away at those Lings and force them back for the time being. Also, finally getting rid of that Overlord that's been sitting over the 3rd base for quite a long time. And Idra just continually stopped at the gate here by these various Protoss defenses, whether it be the Photon Overcharge at the 3rd base or the Colossus and a couple of spare ground units here. He has been stopped from pushing too far in and really getting any damage done. So we'll see how that affects this the mid and late game here, where SwagSurgeon's going to have an excellent economy backing up his superior tech. Of course, we're going to be sitting on the Colossus tech here, extended thermal lance, and +2 weapons are on the way. Probably going to see a gateway explosion there. Yeah, there it is. We've got a couple more gateways down in the back, but Idra Going to bring out a different set of units here. We're now going to see the Muta switch coming out of the Zerg player. He's also got +1 on the flyer attacks just coming now as well. We will see SwagSurgeon now push across. He's got a couple Colossi and does spot the fourth base across to the right-hand side. And it looks like he is going to be able to take that down, but Idra trying to poke in from the back. He's trying to set up this flank. He wants to get rid of that proxy pylon that's there as well. If he can get rid of that, then of course this force could be in a little bit of trouble, given that SwagSurgeon doesn't have a massive amount of anti-air, but Idra has actually just decided that he may in fact look to try and push across the map. He's got these Mutalisks already out. There's a total of 12 there, a few more about to pop out as well. Their +1 is still a little while away, still only halfway done, and SwagSurgeon has left this hatchery on 400 health or so. I'm not sure what the plan is there, but finally we see SwagSurgeon come back. No force fields going up just as of yet. No need to lock down any of those units because he can take out the hatchery and then get out of there. He says, thank you, I am now out of here. And we will actually see how SwagSurgeon is going to approach this. Of course, I don't know if he really has the forces to deal with this just as of yet. There are quite a few mutas there, of course. While we do have those 6 Phoenix up in the sky, it's not exactly a massive amount. But of course, he does have the Stalkers with +1 on the ground, about to get their +2. And things could look a little messy for Idra right now. He's going to take a base up towards the top left-hand side, and the mutas are just going to sweep through into the main base. But we will have a battle down at the main force here. But Idra down around about, geez, there's like 30 or so supply that's actually not in these fights here, which may cost him the game. This is just a force of 4 Colossi, of course, with the Stalkers, the Sentries there as well. Sure, SwagSurgeon did lose a lot to the Mutalisk that went back home and tried to clean up some of the economy, but SwagSurgeon has still got this very powerful force out here. Now with +2 kicking in for these units and an extra 2 Stargates being added on, SwagSurgeon is going to have an excellent counter to those mutas. Of course, the Phoenix now with their tiny little bit of extra range and of course their extra damage against the light units will now push across. Going to try and see what he can do here. The Zerglings on the ground getting cut up easily. Of course, the Hydra is also a big target for those Colossi as well, and it's sweeping at Thermal Lance across the ground here. I think SwagSurgeon is just going to be able to power down against Idra. There's no real way to try and combat this. Of course, the Stalkers now, you know, they're not the perfect Mutalisk counter, but when there's no additional units to try and back up these mutas, there is just nothing that Idra can do here. And despite getting that excellent economy at the start, he does leave the game. So we see SwagSurgeon taking out EG Idra here in this short but you know, decisive game between these two players. So hope you all enjoyed that one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and say hi to me on Twitter and on the Facebook page, duckville.casting on Facebook, and I'll catch you guys later. In total, the Spire just about to finish up, more Zerglings coming about as well, and the Ognis is starting to spread himself a little bit thinner, of course, looking towards taking a 3rd base. This means that your defenses are spread a little bit further. As we can see, we've got Marines, we've got a few mines, and